Your church took in financial offerings last year. Before that money ever showed up in a single report, how many separate platforms did it pass through to get there? A giving form on your website? A mobile app? A text to give processor? Maybe a card reader at a welcome table? Each one with its own login, its own fees, and its own exports. Most churches cannot answer that with confidence. And here's the harder question underneath it. Is your giving system actually broken, or does it just feel that way because nobody has agreed upon what to say or how to manage it? Because I will tell you what I hear from staff more than almost anything else. We don't want to be the church that's always talking about money. Tell a pastor he has to preach on money this Sunday and watch him get anxious. And it's not because they don't believe in it, it's because most of them have never been taught what to say, how to say, and when to say it. Here's what the research on this doesn't support. It's not about churches talking about money too much. It's that the pastor says one thing on Sunday, the bulletin says another, and the giving page on the website hasn't been touched in over 2 years. That's not too much talk. That's inconsistent talk. And inconsistency is what actually erodes trust. So yes, for many churches, something in the giving system is genuinely broken. But broken doesn't mean stuck. It means that there's a system waiting to be restored, brought back into alignment, made whole again. And that's the work ahead of us today. Not assigning blame, but building something your congregation can trust. Here's a 6-point system that will get you there. Before we ever talk about tools, we need to talk about the message. Does everyone on the staff say the same thing about giving? Start with the pulpit. Some pastors avoid the topic almost entirely, worried about the stereotype. Others bring it up once a year during a campaign, then go silent for 11 months. Neither builds trust. Silence teaches your congregation giving isn't something you talk about openly, which makes the one time a year you do talk about it feel like it's an ambush. Now your staff. When a member asks a question about giving or stewardship in the hallway or over the phone, does that person know what to say, or does it depend on who is answering? I have sat with churches where the pastor's public message and the front office's private answers didn't match, not from dishonesty, but because no one has ever agreed upon the message in the first place. Staff messaging also means equipping your lay leaders and small group leaders with the language to talk about when stewardship when it comes up naturally in their own groups. A leader with no guidance either avoids the topic or improvises something off message. Give them one simple message and you've multiplied your stewardship voice across every group in the church. Then there's everything that's printed or posted, your bulletin, website, social media. When was the last time your page on giving was updated on your website? Does it match what your pastor said last Sunday? Or is it still promoting a campaign that actually ended 2 years ago? Here is a test. Put what your pastor says publicly, what the staff says privately, and what your website says in print side by side. If they do not agree, no giving tool in the world will fix it. The tool was never the problem. The message was. Here's a line worth writing down. Use one merchant account, not 5. I sat down recently with a staff team at a church. When I explained that every giving platform they use takes its own percentage of every gift, one of them stopped me cold. You mean we're just now hearing about this? They thought a merchant account was something like PayPal. It took a minute to land. Every platform shaves off a little, and it adds up fast, running 3 or 4 side by side. That reaction isn't rare. Staff faithfully doing ministry, and nobody has ever walked them through what their giving methods actually cost to the church. Now, I spent 20 plus years on the ACS technology side of this business, so let me be straight about something current. Vanco and ACS Technologies have actually been partners for over a decade. And at the end of 2025, that partnership became a full merger. Whether you're checking with your processor, ask about physical tools too. A card reader or a terminal for your welcome center or your worship center, not just online giving. But here's the point that matters no matter which system you run. Planning Center Giving runs on Stripe. Breathe runs on Tithely. Whatever your management system is, its native giving option already gives you one processor built in for that platform. And these companies are not just processing money. Tithely runs an entire training arm, Tithely University, with stewardship courses alongside names like Financial Peace University. ACS Technologies has published its own guidance on tithing, scriptures, and giving messaging. Planning Center built its whole platform around stewardship being serious business. Chances are the company behind your management system has already built resources to help you have this conversation well with the congregation. So, how does a church end up with 5 processors instead of one when the tools already exist inside of the one they have? Nobody sets out to build it that way. It happens one addition at a time until your finance team reconciles 4 or 5 exports a week, each with its own fee structure and login, and nobody has stopped to add up what it's costing the church. What does that cost mean to you? Not just staff hours. It costs clarity. Congregants get genuinely confused about which platform to use when a church runs several. They are disillusioned by too many options rather than being served by them. And a giver wants to see their whole year of giving in one place. They can't because it's scattered across systems that were never built to talk to each other. Here is what simple looks like instead. Let your information management's native processor carry the load. Vanco inside of Realm, Stripe inside of Planning Center, one login for your finance team, one export, one place the giver can see everything they're given, no matter how they gave it. I need to say something plainly, and it won't take too long. I have walked into more churches than I care to count where the offering envelope has a line for the credit card number written visibly in plain view, then passed down the pew in front of everybody around you. Someone could easily pick up an envelope before it made it back to the office and start charging that card because the information was sitting out in plain view. I'm not questioning your financial team's integrity nor your congregation's. The question is how many hands and minutes that envelope passes before it reaches a locked drawer. The same gap shows up bigger elsewhere. I worked with a church where one person handled the entire process, picked up the offering, took it home, counted it there, and then drove it to the bank on Monday. Alone at every step, a faithful person, no doubt. But faithfulness isn't a security policy, and a real process protects that person as much as the church. If a number ever comes up short, they're the only one who can answer for it, fair or not. The fix in both cases is structure, not distrust. Real policies and procedures written down. Stop putting card numbers on the envelope. Point people to the giving link or the app instead, and make it always 2 people together anywhere money changes hands. 2 who count, 2 who make the deposit, never one person alone at any point. These policies don't exist to catch someone doing something wrong. They exist so no one ever has to be the one left holding the question. Where does a giver actually encounter the ability to give? More than half of all churches' giving now happens digitally, and that number keeps climbing. If your church hasn't caught up, you're leaving real ministry dollars on the table. Start with your website. Is it giving a one-click from the home page to give, or is it buried 3 menus deep? What about social media? Does your Facebook or Instagram account bio actually link to a giving page or just point back to your home page? Does your church management system have a mobile app? And do your members even know it exists? I have sat with staff recently who couldn't answer that about their own church. Now, the worship service itself. That's where most churches leave the biggest gap. Digital screens can carry a giving prompt naturally, just like the welcome slide. But most churches only put one up during the stewardship series, and then it disappears for 50 weeks. Those same screens can spotlight a mission trip fundraiser or a vacation Bible school push right when it matters. A screen that only ever says give misses the chance to say give to this right now because it matters this week. QR codes are everywhere now, but placement matters as much as presence. One buried in 5 print at the bottom of a bulletin gets scanned by nobody. One on the screen during the offering or on a seat back card gets scanned by someone already thinking about giving at that moment. Don't count out print either. A giving card in the bulletin, an insert with a QR code, a line on the guest card, they still matter for the regular attenders who aren't reaching for a phone during service. The goal is making print and digital say the same thing, which is exactly why consistency messaging matters here. One more thing on the guest card. It's fine to include a soft line about giving there. Giving is available online by app or in the offering, but keep it soft. This isn't the moment to make a first-time guest feel like they've walked into an ask. And let the invitation to belong come first. Campaigns carry a different weight depending on the season, and they aren't all the same animal. Your annual campaign is a budget-driven ask carrying the whole operating year. Seasonal campaigns tie to Christmas or Easter or back to school. Purpose-driven campaigns fund is a building, a missions trip, a benevolence need tied to a specific story rather than the general budget. Each of these needs its own messaging and its own giving link. Lump them all under general fund and you lose the story behind the gift. But be careful. Too many designated and special offerings alongside the general fund can confuse the congregant about what's actually sustaining the day-to-day ministry. If every week is a different specific ask, people lose sight of the fact that the general fund keeps the lights on and the staff paid. Balance the specific stories with a steady message about the church giving ongoing needs. Churches vary in how often they communicate giving, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. But every church has one that isn't optional. Givers file taxes on the calendar year, so that's when they need that statement. The simplest solution is giving congregants a way to check their own giving online, anytime, anywhere through an app so that they can manage it themselves, update their recurring giving information, change the frequency, pull a statement without waiting on the staff. Once that's in place, the church's job is just to make sure that they remind the people that it's there and available. And here's a stewardship principle for the church's own resources. If you're mailing statements throughout the year, postage adds up fast across the entire congregation. Teach people to check email instead, or better yet, look it up themselves online through an app. That's just good stewardship of the church's resources. Think what that saves your finance team. Fewer phone calls, fewer manual lookups, fewer awkward conversations about a denied or declined card that no one caught for months. Do you know anyone who doesn't appreciate hearing thank you for something they've given you? I don't either. And this is the place almost every church skips or neglects. Timing matters. A thank you that arrives weeks later just doesn't land the same as one within a day or two. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A call or a note to a first-time giver, a handwritten card for someone who's been signed up to give monthly, or a card for a memorial gift. Small, quick, personal, that's what people remember. Most church management platforms make this easy. A simple query shows you who gave for the first time this month versus who gives regularly, so you know who needs that first time thank you and who already is a recurring giver. And don't overlook the smallest, youngest giver. A child who puts $1 in the offering plate has a giving record too. And a thank you sent their way or to their parents teaches them early what it means, an investment that shapes a lifelong habit. Your tax statement itself, required by the IRS, can carry more compliance messaging. Most information management systems let you automate and create a letter from the finance team or a note from the pastor to go along with every statement, automatically, focused on the season and the message. The same goes for that automatic online giving receipt. Instead of just saying thank you for your gift of $100, a little more configuration makes it thank you. Your gift helped touch and feed families this month. Don't overlook testimonies either. A funded mission trip, a family helped through a hard season, a scholarship that sent a student to camp. Sharing those stories without naming who gave what shares and shows the whole congregation what generosity accomplishes, and that becomes its own thank you. This isn't just good manners. Gratitude encourages people to give again, and once it's automated, it never depends upon them remembering to give in that fashion. This isn't a modern discovery either. Paul told the church in Corinth the same thing 2,000 years ago. In 2 Corinthians 9, he says their generosity would produce thanksgiving, overflowing into expressions of thanks to God. Gratitude and generosity have always gone hand in hand and fed each other. Stewardship in itself is an act of worship, an honor to God, the Creator. What would change if your church this year, if your giving system was whole, simple to manage, easy to find, and met with gratitude instead of just another request? This is the message in this video. And before you go, thank you. Thank you for spending this time watching this video with me today. My prayer is that something in this video helps you build genuine culture of gratitude in your own congregation, for your staff, your volunteers, and everyone who gives of their time and talents and treasure. If you receive something from this video that you think would be helpful to another pastor or another friend, I encourage and challenge you to share that today. Next week, we close out this series looking at the real payoff for everything we've covered. What happens when good information management becomes a tool your congregation can actually use? Not just a staff database, but write it down. CCC. A church being a community with a digital tool of communication. If you've ever wondered about all this data work is actually for, that's what next week's video is all about, and you won't want to miss it. Blessings for you, your family, and your flock. Know your congregation.